On, bro. Justin Tucker. Let's go. That's the shit we do. Let's go. It is official. The Ravens beat the Bengals 19-17. This video is going to be my full reactions to the entire game. If you don't feel like watching all the way through and you just want to hear my quick thoughts, I did upload a video on TikTok. There's just a couple minutes if you just want a quick rundown. But for all the people that want a full detailed reaction, this video is for y'all. With that being said, make sure you follow my TikTok. I post a lot of TikTok videos, like 3 or 4 every single day. So that's a lot of content for y'all that I think you'll enjoy. But with that being said, let's get right into the video. Starting off with the obvious, Justin Tucker's the GOAT. Like, I really don't think there's any denying that at this point. Like, man is so clutch. Anytime he needs a kick in the fourth quarter, he makes it. They said some stat, I think it's like 61 in a row in the fourth quarter, which that's just absolutely insane. I don't really know how he does it. I don't know how someone can be that accurate. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Especially because, like, he's this little small dude who has an absolute cannon out of a leg. I don't understand how that works, but he just mastered kicking, and he's the best kicker of all time. No debate. I don't want to hear no Adam Vinatieri. He's clearly the best to ever do it. Now we got that out of the way. Just had to say that at the beginning. Let's get into the more critical parts of the game. So, starting off with the defense. Overall, it was good. It was really good. They really only gave up They gave up 2 big drives: the touchdown drive and then the one drive where there was all those penalties. I think that was the end. That was the end of the second quarter. That drive, that was horrible, horrible. Not because the Ravens' defense played bad, but because there's so many penalties. Horrible pass interference. What was the other penalties? There were a lot of other penalties. Oh yeah, they called pass interference Marcus Peters when he was like grabbing him. That should have been holding, but not pass interference. Should have been a 5-yard penalty, automatic first down. No reason it should be pass interference. No reason. There were a couple other penalties on that drive. I can't really remember, but I know they were bad. I remember just being like confused. But that's the drive. Marcus Peters had that big stop. I don't know why the Bengals thought it was a good idea to do an end around on that like situation. Horrible idea. But Marcus Peters went right up to, boom, I think it was Boyd, just slammed him, and he did that funny ass dance, bro. Like, oh my God. I was so hyped, bro, because Marcus Peters is one of my favorite players ever. I was so hyped, bro, when I was dancing. I was going crazy when I seen that shit. But yeah. Into the other players. Marlon Humphrey. I think he's a top 3 cornerback in the league. Top 3. I don't know about number 1, but he's top 3. Bro's lockdown. You barely ever hear his name. And when you ever do hear his name, it's one of 3 things. 1, an interception. 2, it was good coverage, but they still managed to get a catch, which happened like once last night with Jamar Chase. He had great coverage, but Jamar Chase just came back to the ball when Burrow threw it in front of him. Or the third one, it was just way out of bounds incomplete, and it wasn't even like towards him. You never hear him other than that, ever, in the game. And you know what that means? He's covering them perfectly. If you watch that game, you notice. If you watch any other game that he's played this season, you will notice that. Whoever Humphrey's on, they're not getting open. They're not getting open. It's that simple. He's just that dude. And he's definitely our best player on defense by far. Marcus Peters, great job too. You rarely will see his name called. The only time this year I remember he played bad was in the Dolphins game, but that was his first game back from injury anyway. And I mean, it's Tyreek Hill. It's Tyreek Hill, bro. Not many people can cover him, but guess who could? Marlon Humphrey. And Marlon Humphrey covered him. But that's a whole different story. That's a whole different game. Obviously, Marcus Williams got hurt. That's a bummer. He's been a great playmaker. Unfortunate that he's out for the season, but not for the season. They put him on IR, but it seems like he could come back maybe towards the end of the season, and that'd be great if we could have him like into the playoffs. But he's gonna be out with a dislocated. I don't know if I forget if it's I think it's a dislocated wrist. Don't quote me on that. I think it's a dislocated wrist, but. That's it for him. Patrick Queen, I really don't like Patrick Queen. He obviously had that interception, and I'm glad that he was in this situation. Great play by him. Great read, dropping back. If you saw that play, it was really smart. It was really smart what he was doing. But overall, I don't really like him. He's not a great tackler. He doesn't have the best speed. He's been dropping a ton of interceptions. He obviously got that one, but I don't really like him. But overall, his game last night was pretty good. I think he missed a key tackle in the run game once, but overall, he played decent. Josh Bynes continues to be a solid linebacker. Seems to be our best linebacker. He got that sack when it was just no one was even covering him. And he's just playing really good. He's not making any of these crazy plays, but he had an interception earlier this season. He had that big sack. He's just consistent. He's consistently a good linebacker, and that's all that we really can ask out of him. What else? I didn't really plan any of this. I'm just kind of going at it. But oh yeah, Jason Pierre-Paul. This was his first game that he really took off. There was moments when he was quiet, and he didn't have he's not really a consistent pass rusher. He's more like he'll have a good rush here and there, and then he'll just not do much. This game he had 2 swats, 2 back-to-back plays. That it was phenomenal. I was so hyped when he did that, and he also had a sack, which is great to see him get a sack. I was so hyped when that happened too, man. I was so excited. But yeah, hopefully he can keep that up and do that rest of the season. I really want to see consistent pressure from this D-line because the D-line is really not that good. But it's just good to see at least he's doing something now because last week he didn't really do much at all. Owe was interesting this game because they were holding him almost the whole game, barely called it. That was the other penalties on that drive I was talking about earlier. Holdings on Owe, clear as day, didn't call it. I don't know why. They were holding him the entire game. Now, I'm not saying that that's the only reason he didn't get any big plays or anything, because he could have done better. He didn't have the best consistent pressure, like I said about Jason Pierre-Paul, but overall, he played pretty good, and the holding penalties needed to be called. If they called the holding penalties that were there, it'd probably be 4 or 5. Not 5, but it'd be 3 or 4. So yeah, I can't blame him too much for that. And yeah, but overall, the defensive line played pretty good. I didn't see Justin Manabike out there, really. I don't know if that's injury-based or not. I need to look that up, but I didn't see him out there much, and I was a little concerned about that. Also, I saw Calais Campbell on the edge certain plays. I'm not sure why. Not sure if it was something they planned or if they just were hey, come out of edge. I really don't know. That's really weird. Not sure why, but Calais Campbell continues to be quiet. There'll be 1 or 2 plays he'll pop out of nowhere and get some good pressure, but overall, he's really he's getting old, man. He's slow, getting old. Not horrible. He's not a horrible player, and he's obviously your starter, but he's just getting old and slow, man. Anything else for the defense? I'm forgetting. Pepe Williams. He's been out a lot, and he's been doing decent. Now, he is probably the worst corner out there, because you got Marcus Peters, and you got, whatever his name is, Marcus Peters, and you got Marlon Humphrey. So he's usually covering one of the worst receivers, but overall, last night he did a great job of that. Over the course of the season, not great, but last night, he played pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. Really, the whole secondary played pretty good. And yeah, that's all I have to say about the defense. Getting to the offense. I was so worried at the beginning of the game when Ronnie Stanley kept coming out. I thought it was because he was getting hurt, but it seems like they're just kind of rotating him in and out, which I think is pretty smart because you don't want to do what happened last year, have him in one game and get out for the season because he got hurt. So I'm actually happy about it. But when he was in, whenever Ronnie Stanley came in, he's the player I was watching from the snap. From the snap, he's the first player I'm watching. And I never do that with linemen. But I was watching them, and he looked really solid. Really solid. He obviously wasn't out there the whole time, but when he was out there, he looked really good. And Patrick McCary actually did a decent job holding up. Obviously, he's not Ronnie Stanley, but he did a pretty good job. So I was pretty excited with him. Overall, the line is pretty good. Pretty good. Run blocking was better. It's better than the past weeks. But the pass blocking, it's kind of just been the same. They have some moments where they block really well and other moments where they just don't show up. That's kind of been them the whole season and continue to do that this game. I just wish they could be more consistent. It's weird because sometimes no pressure at all. Lamar will have forever to throw. And other times there'll be pressure within 2 seconds. I'm not sure what the deal is. I don't really be focusing on individual linemen other than Ronnie Stanley. So I don't really know who's to blame for any of it, but it's just really weird with the offensive line. They're just so inconsistent. I'd like to see them be playing better. Running backs, J.K. Dobbins looked great. He had that one play, Hendrickson, I forget the dude's name, starts with an H. He got him right at the beginning of the play, and he, trucked him off. I was like, whoa. Man, it's, twice as big as you. You just, threw him off there, bro. I was going crazy. But also, yeah, he had a great game. But it was really weird because, they barely put him in. Barely. Whenever he'd get in, he'd get, 8, 9, 10 yards. And they just take him out. And it was concerning, too, because after the game, he went on Twitter and was, liking some posts. I don't want to, go into detail on it. You can look up his Twitter if you want. But he was liking posts talking about how the Ravens don't give him the ball and stuff. So, I'm not going to remember any of them. But go look at his Twitter, his liked. It's a little concerning, not going to lie. Kenyon Drake played great, for his standards at least. He had some good, nice runs. He had a couple ones that got stuffed right away, but that's more on the O-line. And yeah, he played good. Kenyon Drake is a running back, like, if you give him a hole, he's going to hit it, and he's going to hit it fast. But if he doesn't have a big hole, he's not going to make much happen. He's not going to truck anybody, make no big moves. That's not really his style. So, but he did good. He did good. Mike Davis had a run for 3 yards. Not too much to talk about with that. Yeah, obviously, I know you're going to want me to talk about Lamar, so this is about Lamar. Lamar, it wasn't his best game. It wasn't his worst game. He didn't play that bad. I know he missed some big plays, but let's be honest. As a whole, he played pretty good, okay? He missed the one to Duvernay. I think that was a harder throw than people are giving him credit. Obviously, he should have made it, but it's still a hard throw. Like, it was, you had to thread the needle into there, so I wasn't too disappointed with that throw, but the one to Wallace where it was 4th down, he needs to hit that, bro. You just have to. You would have to in high school, let alone the NFL. Well, high school quarterbacks expect to make that throw. Really disappointing, especially for Wallace, because that would have been like, he barely gets in at all. Barely gets in at all. This is his moment to shine, and Lamar missed him. So that was bad. But the last drive Lamar had, he played really well. He did good on his legs the entire game. So the stats don't really show, but he played pretty well. My problem with Lamar has always been like consistent accuracy. He'll be accurate at times. He always will be accurate at times. And he's usually accurate short passes. But when it's a deep pass, usually to the outside, like the interception he had, that was a horrible intercept. He usually struggles outside the numbers. Now, he doesn't usually struggle deep but down the field passes. That's usually something he's fine with. But outside of the numbers, he really struggles. So I'm hoping he can improve on that. Overall, though, I'm not too worried about Lamar, okay? He had a bad game, but let's be honest, all quarterbacks have bad games. Aaron Rodgers has had like 3 bad games this year, and he's won all 3 of them. No, they lost against... He had 3 bad games this year and won 2 out of them. They lost to the Vikings, but yeah, it's just, you don't need to get too much on Lamar. Obviously, he had a bad game, but I'm not too worried about him. This is probably his worst game of the season, but if that's your worst game of the season and you win, that shows that you're a good team. Into Mark Andrews, he was Mark Andrews. Not too much to say. He's just a beast. He has great hands, great agility. I saw him live once when I went to the game last year, and I was surprised how fast he is. Like, he's actually really fast. Especially compared to all the tight ends. I was seeing the tight ends run routes. He was like 5 times faster than any of the other tight ends. Great job, Mark Andrews, like always. I already talked about the O-line. Receivers. Duvernay's the best receiver on our team. I don't care about I love Bateman, man, and he's obviously hurt, so he didn't play that game. But Duvernay's our best receiver, by far. He's just a do-it-all. And for me, he really reminds me of one of my favorite players of all time, Jacoby Jones, where he just does everything. Just does everything. Doesn't do the most on offense, usually. Tonight he did because Bateman was out, but usually doesn't do the most on offense. But when he does get his opportunities, he scores. Obviously, both kick returners, great kick returners, both of them. But yeah, really remind me of Jacoby Jones. But yeah, Duvernay's great. Wallace didn't really get to see too much of him. Prochet, he's really just he's just an average receiver, really. I mean, there's nothing really that bad about him. He has really good hands. People don't really know that, but Prochet has really good hands, but he did drop that one pass. It was a horrible throw, but still. And any other receivers? Robinson, he had not one catch, I think. But yeah, it was really more about the run game, honestly, for the offense. I mean, Bateman was out, so that's probably a big part of it, but there wasn't too much going on with the receivers. Other than Duvernay. Duvernay played phenomenal. Duvernay, he's our best. He might be our best player on offense, other than Lamar, obviously. No, Andrews. I forgot about Andrews, which I shouldn't have. But yeah, and then the last thing I want to talk about is coaching. John Harbaugh, great job. Great job. Okay, taking the points. I think he's been listening. I'm glad he decided to take the points, because if we went for it on some of those 4th downs, we would have lost the game. And I like that we weren't being too conservative, because there was one time Lamar was like, "Hey, let's go for it," and John Harbaugh was like, "All right." It was 4th down. We could have got another field goal at that point, but I'm glad we went for it. That was the one where Lamar overthrew Wallace, but I was at least happy that we went for it, you know. So he's not getting too conservative, but he's actually listening and readjusting. So I'm glad that we're actually taking the points, because we kicked what, 4 field goals that game, or 3? 10, 13. Yeah, we kicked 4 field goals that game. 1 touchdown, 4 field goals. So We have the best kicker in the league. We might as well use him. Like, we might as well use him. So, yeah, I'm glad that he did that. Greg Roman, I think he called a good game overall. Honestly, like, I think Greg Roman called the best game of his season. The best game. He called everything right. And, like, the only times that plays didn't work was player execution. And you can't blame him for that. So, overall, Greg Roman, I have no complaints. But I think the Coach of the Day award, if that even is a thing, definitely goes to Mike Macdonald. Mike Macdonald. He tightened up this defense. There was, like, no changes. Like, no one new came in. Other than, like, I think there was one lineman we got. But no new people came in. But he adjusted. And it was working out against the Bengals receiving core that's stacked. Obviously, T. Higgins was out. But still. Even without T. Higgins, they still have a great receiving core. Great receiving core. Obviously, it could have been a little different if T. Higgins was in. But he wasn't. Injuries happen. Hey, we didn't have our best receiver either. So I don't want to hear no complaints. Okay? We both had one of our best receivers out. But yeah. That's pretty much all I can think about that I want to talk about in this video. Make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you follow my TikTok. That's where I'll be making most of my content. But yeah, how do y'all feel about this Ravens game? Personally, I think we played good, not great, and we need to improve, especially going up against this Giants team who's actually been looking pretty decent. But yeah, that's all I have to say. Make sure you like and subscribe. Let's go Ravens fly.